welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. And of course, we were speaking earlier, if you missed the first segment, it was all about how you can protect yourself from lightning strikes. And we promised you that we'll be speaking about how you can protect the electronic equipment in your house. But before that, I think we have a question from a viewer who saw the segment yesterday, and they've sent in some queries. And you too can send us any queries that you have at mtvsports@maharaja.lk. That's our email address. And also, when we speak about protecting yourself from lightning by being in a vehicle, most people, it's common knowledge that it's safe inside a vehicle. But the question was that if you take, let's say, a particular container that's attached to a truck, people also use containers as living spaces. So is it safe to use a container as, let's say, a house or as a dwelling? Does the same principle apply to protect yourself from lightning?
Okay, I will start the question in a slightly different way. I will start by saying what is the best place to be when the lightning strikes. Some people think the car is the best place and they get out from the house and go to the car. That is very dangerous. If the best place is a substantial building, not near windows, but inside. But if you can't get into a substantial building, the next best is a vehicle with metal roof and metal sides, or basically what is called a Faraday cage. So the potential remains constant. Some people think that because of the tires, the car is safe.
Actually, all this time, that's what I also thought, that the rubber tire is insulated.
Rubber tire has nothing to do with it. If lightning could have come a few kilometers from the clouds to the car,
from the car to the ground,
no problem going through that 6 inches. It is the metal that is the thing.
Yeah, so it will give equal potential all over, so that we won't get hurt out of it.
Yes. So there's no potential differences. As long as you don't have very large windows, even the window area will roughly have the same sort of potential.
Protection.
So if you look at a pure container and you don't cut windows, that would be ideal, because there's no potential differences. But obviously you can't live in a container without having openings. So now even at the University at Morotua, we use containers. But you cut doors, you cut windows. As soon as you do that, you have to be away from these doors and windows. So if the container space is small, you may not have too much space to move about.
That's the only issue that you might have. Other than that, it's quite safe then to be in a container.
Then there's another important thing. If the container is grounded, then it does not get charged. But like a car, if it is not grounded, the car can get charged. The potential of the car and the potential of the ground are different. If you try to step out of the car when the car is charged, again you have the step potential. So that is why they say when there is heavy lightning activity, do not get in or get out of a car. Wait for at least maybe half an hour after lightning has gone out before you get out of the car.
Wow. So I hope that answers the question that the viewer had. But moving on to others, now we spoke the first segment about electronic devices. Now these are everywhere, and you mentioned earlier that they all have nanochips, they have transistors, they have diodes. So all of these little parts can get very easily damaged. So how can someone who's watching at home protect their electrical equipment from this type of power surges?
Surge, so we call surge protection. So as I mentioned at the beginning, there are two the direct strikes and this is indirect strike, or we say primary. So for a direct strike, we have to provide, we call primary protection. For this kind of secondary effects, we have to provide secondary protection. So two types of protection. So to avoid the lightning being struck, so we employ this Franklin rods kind of thing. So those are primary protection to avoid a lightning being struck directly to your building or thing. So after a while the lightning goes, come to the Franklin rod and it goes to the earth. While it goes, as I mentioned, so there's a magnetic field, so it creates some problems to the equipment within the building. So that is, so for that we have to provide the secondary protection.
If your building is not very tall and there are many other taller buildings, I would advise that you don't have this primary protection, because that does not help much, but you might actually attract lightning to that, and when that flows near your equipment, there may be induced effect.
Oh, I see.
But if your building is a tall building, definitely you need direct lightning protection.
So in lightning protection, if you invite, you have to treat them well.
Yes.
Otherwise,
so better if you are in a
better
shorter
not
building, not to invite at all.
Better not to invite.
That's
of
right.
course. And when you talk about secondary protection, now what are the other types of measures that you can take?
Those are called the surge protection. For that, we have to employ certain surge protective devices.
Okay.
So that also has to be done in a professional manner rather than just putting these kind of protectors. So with lightning protection, the issue is, you know that it's a huge amount of energy comes through that. So that has to be taken off, otherwise it goes and damage. So sometimes we use a kind of a staggered approach, saying that means that
at the entry point we use things called metal oxide varistors or MOVs, which are non-linear devices.
If you make a note of that, metal oxide
varistors. Quite often called MOV. These devices are non-linear devices. So
which that means?
That means when the voltage tries to increase, it takes more and more current.
Oh, I see.
Preventing current going and damaging your equipment.
Okay.
so it absorbs to certain amount of much of the energy in the lightning is absorbed by that and put it to the earth.
Yes.
Okay.
But still some parts still there. So at the secondary level, we have to treat again, and finally at the using
If you want
equipment
to
as
stop a
well.
container, you can't put a hand and stop a container. So you will need something heavy to stop.
Yes.
But that might move a little. After that, the final thing, if you want the person not to come in, you might be able to stop the person coming in with your hand. So in the same way, the energy of lightning normally we control using these MOVs. But after that, we use electronic devices to control the voltage at the final end.
So final smoothing kind of thing we have to done until it comes to reach the equipment. So lightning protection we say is local. That means we can't provide lightning protection to cover an entire thing, cover kind of a huge thing. So at the locations we have to give them protections.
So if you're a homeowner, then you yourself have to take that first step. And
first step would be at the entry point of the telecom line, of the power line, and so on. But that alone is not sufficient to protect the equipment. So at the equipment itself, normally there will be additional high-level protection to bring down the voltages.
So
now, for example, if you want to use a computer when there's lightning, best is not to use a desktop, because desktop has to be powered by the electricity supply.
So
any wiring,
to use a laptop.
That's right. So you should use a laptop. But when you're using the laptop also, remove the power cord. Well, as soon as I have the power cord, there is a possibility that lightning can come in. Then again, you may want to use the internet. Don't use network cables, because network cables again can bring power onto the computer, the lightning. If you use a dongle together with a laptop, you can do all your work without getting affected.
So no problem at all. I mean, it doesn't attract lightning.
As long as you don't go near the window or anything like that.
But as we mentioned, because that area magnetizes. If that effect is high.
So that is normally effect coming from outside will be near the windows and doors and so on.
So you stays in the middle of the room.
If you avoid that, if you are in the middle, something like that, so you are safe there.
Wow, all right. And there's another very important, people avoid all phones at all times when lightning is going on outside. You know, even if you're on a call, people say, no, keep the phone, you don't want to do any damage.
Many people make this mistake. Sometimes even advertisements asking people not to use phones show a mobile phone.
So
there's really no problem using a mobile phone during lightning, as long as you have good reception in the center of the house. If you have to go near the window, then the other problems will come in where the field is there.
Okay, so it's all right to use a mobile phone?
Perfectly all right.
Wow, okay.
While not connected to the power
charger.
socket.
Yes, yes.
You will not be using it connected to the power socket.
Wow, okay, so lots of new things
Yes.
that we're learning on the show this morning. So it's
So,
all right to use laptops and mobile phones
So
as well?
I've heard that a fairly large number of people, of course it may not be in Sri Lanka but in other countries also, who get killed while speaking on the phone. But that phone is not the mobile phone, it's a landline.
Landline, all right. So these are ways that you can protect yourself and smart ways to protect yourself. So it's good to have the right information. And we're going for a very short break now, but we'll be right back on Good Morning Sri Lanka.